taken a little bit of time off recently. My dad had gotten very ill and had suffered from Alzheimer's. He had dementia. So I was his caregiver for the last 4 or 5 years, and he recently passed a few weeks ago. So it's been very difficult, a very difficult time for our whole family. But this is I didn't mind. Like I turned down a lot of work, over the last few years, just because I just don't have time, and so the things that I've worked on, things that have been coming out, it's like I would get my daughter or my son to help watch my dad, and I'd be able to take a weekend off and a couple days off here and there, and I would do little tiny, bit pieces. So I'm kind of feel like I'm starting over from scratch at this point. I mean, not exactly, but I just have to. I'm going to kind of rebuild and just kind of move forward. And but it was cool. I got to take my dad on set with me a bunch of times. We did a Western movie called No Name and Dynamite. Like in the old Wild West, there'd always be the old guy sitting on the porch, like watching the gunfighters and stuff. So he got cast because he had a cool look and long hair and a beard.
Also, he was in the movie.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah, we were both in the whorehouse.
Father and son.
It was cool, but it was a lot of fun. And so actually, he got to be in a couple movies. He was in that. He was in the background because I brought him with me to set for um, what was it? Cholo Zombies 2, uh, uh, Monstro. It was called. So you can see him in the courtroom scene. I played a judge, and then there's another one called How to Kill Your Roommate and Get Away with It. And there was a zombie sequence that we filmed actually at my house. And like there's always that guy, the naysayer, like, "Oh, you're all gonna die." So I got that part.
The Harbinger. Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad did that in just a real quick scene in that movie. But that was fun, and it was cool that we got to um, spend his last days doing some fun stuff. So
Yeah, especially that he got to be a part of something that is clearly so important to you and your creative outlet.
thank you. Yeah, it was. It's special, and yeah, I love my dad, and I miss him bad.
How did he feel about you playing zombies and monsters and things in so many films?
You know, I thought he would be. I thought there's going to be a time because he's got Alzheimer's and dementia that I'm going to come out from the bathroom and be all zombied out, and there's going to. I thought for sure that there would be a moment where I would terrify him and not mean to, and he would just look up at me and laugh. So he knew it was me. So I would tease him and stuff, and we would put on TV or put on something, and see if he would know, and he would just look at it and be like, "That's you." so, so he always knew, but he was always a big supporter of my career and of the arts. My dad had a degree in fine art, so the art, the artistic side of it kind of is a generational thing. He's passed it on, and now my son's working on becoming a director, and he's going to be 20 years old, and he's already finished his second feature film. And my daughter's a guitar player, and she's a great musician, so it carries through.
That's cool to hear too, because you said that your dad, you have all these memories of you guys watching those horror movies when you were a kid, and that's
Sure.
like an early memory of what made you love it. So I just think it's cool that you did get to share that with him in such a core way. Can you tell me what is the art of playing the perfect monster? Because you were telling us about how the specific makeup allows you to articulate. I was
Yeah.
curious about how you bring that into your performance.
Um, Kind of depends because most of the time zombies don't have any dialogue, so there isn't a whole lot of except for attitude. I did quite a few movies with Dustin Ferguson. So Dustin Ferguson had cast me as his kind of a main monster zombie in a few of his films. One called Zombie 8, and that was eight, like the number eight, not eight, because I did eat everybody, but that's separate. Um, but I'm like the main zombie in that, and it's just having just a fierce attitude and just playing off the other characters and just um, it was fun. It was fun to I literally did all my makeup, went through. They've already done all their scenes, and I literally went through and went kill, 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 kill. They cut it all together, so it looks like it was a whole day of killing, but I did it all in like 40 minutes. We were just covered in blood, and we're like, okay, it's a wrap. So those type of things are very intense and fun, but it's like the makeup I would take 2 or 3 hours sometimes. I would put all this detail in. Sometimes the other projects I worked on, it's over in a brief second. It's done. So knew that if I wanted to get better screen time, I'd have to develop the acting side of it and talking and working on dialogue, and those are the types of roles that I'm more interested in now.
Well,
Like
how did you go about that? Because I assume you were also practicing how you were doing acting behind the scenes even before you had the roles. So how did you maneuver into that?
um, had some friends that were just it was just a my whole life has been a weird series of coincidences and how things like line up and just uh, I'm like, man, I want to get into acting. And my friend was a photographer and he did my headshots. And he's like, I just happen to be working on the play The Crucible, and you would make a perfect judge. And I'm like, whoa, what's a play? I don't even know what I'm doing. So they brought me down, and it wasn't a huge role. It was for Judge Hawthorne in The Crucible. So I wasn't the main judge, but I was like kind of the. Are you familiar with the play?
Yeah, The Crucible's great. I've seen the
Yeah.
movie. I
Okay.
one day need to see the play.
Yeah. So that was my first uh, attempt at doing theater. So we built this place called the Theater of Doors in downtown LA in this weird loft, like open space, and they built we built the whole theater out of like just what reused walls that they found places, pallets that stacked on top and put chairs on everything, and we did this like community theater that we built out of nowhere, out of nothing, and it was great. It was the performances were fantastic, and being backstage when the final scene with John Proctor happens and having the entire audience, like probably 50 or 60 people every night, um, standing ovations, everybody clapping, and you hear that you get that energy from the crowd, and it feels great. And I that kind of helped solidify that I really love acting. This is new and fascinating, and I want to pursue more of this and less of regular boring work.